and soul of the game is at the Boxing Voice. Ain't no other site in the game could see the Boxing Voice.
ThaBoxingvoice.com, live here with the world-renowned trainer, John David Jackson. John, man, a lot of people, they were speculating that you were going to land the Chris Algieri job and, be allowed to train him. And a lot of people are putting a lot of hopes in you. We hope that you can turn this guy into the boxer that we all believe he can be. He showed a lot of great things in the Ruslan fight, even in the Pacquiao fight. I was just telling my colleague how I seen him landing those same right hands that Marquez landed. What was, I guess, the mitigating factor to make you go ahead and make this this union with Chris Algieri?
I guess the fact that I met him in Florida and we got along so well. The first day I had him to shadow box for me. And out of those 4 rounds, I said, this guy can fight. It hasn't been brought out in him to become a better fighter than he already is. And, if your corner doesn't have that much knowledge, then how can you gain knowledge from people that may not know as much as you know as a fighter? So I've seen a lot of good things in Chris, and I figured that I could help him become a better fighter than he is already.
Now, Chris Algieri is a guy that obviously exploded onto the scene last year, but in hindsight, he's only lost 1 time. He has a very big opportunity here versus an international star in Amir Khan. I heard you in your last interview, you seem confident that you guys can get the win. But normally guys that beat Khan have some sort of power. What is it about Chris Algieri that you think will be able to give him the edge versus Amir Khan?
The fact that they're fighting at 47 and come fighting at Chris would probably be about 157. Chris does have power. It's just that it hasn't been brought out in him. If you watch Chris's previous fight, he was flighty, always moving, throwing good shots, but nothing behind it. Because he was just picking, and winning on points. In the Prevetnov fight, he had to pretty much survive the early rounds. So in the later rounds, he just outpicked him and out-hustled him. This fight here, he's going to be the bigger fighter, the stronger fighter, physically. So use those advantages. And you got power, just sit down on your shots and use them. There's certain things that we worked on, I think, that will allow him to perform better and possibly shock the world. You got to remember another thing. Amir's been talking a whole lot of trash, but guess what? He's the person that's been knocked out twice. Now Chris been had some good shots. He never been stopped or knocked out. Our opponent can't say that. And so that's a psychological advantage for Chris. He's been hit with some great punches, but he went down. But guess what? He came back up and he fought, and he was never stopped. So that works in our advantage. Because the reporter asked me the other day, he said, what happens because Khan's saying once he hits Chris is going to think about the fights with Pacquiao and the fights with Prevetnov. I said, well, guess what? When he is Khan hit those knockouts that he had by Prescott and by Garcia. He's been knocked out. He understands what it felt like to be knocked out. Chris doesn't understand that. So that's an advantage in our favor. So we'll see come that night, once Chris starts landing big shots, how he acts and how he reacts.